Welcome to the Gym Tonic Podcast with me, Tim Chase, and today I'm joined by the champion of the world, Mr. Steve Christie. What is going on, Steve?
What up, Tim? You all right, mate? How you doing?
I'm very well, very well.
Good, man.
What have you been up to this crazy week of lockdown?
Well, first week of lockdown, obviously, for those of you who don't know, I'm a hairdresser. So I did some crazy hours the back end of last week, like 4, 5, 12-hour days, 13-hour days. So I've actually spent the last couple of days just chilling out.
Nice. Well, I say nice. It's nice for a couple of days.
Oh, mate, it's driving me mad.
Hell. It's going to be hell. So for anyone who doesn't know you, which may be a few people that have discovered you through my channel or whether people are finding this podcast. Oh, there's a cat in the background.
Yeah, exactly.
Tell us who is Steve?
Right. So I'm Steve Christie. I am a full-time hairdresser. I've been hairdressing 21 years now. So literally straight out of school. And 5 years ago, I decided to try bodybuilding. And I've been doing that consistently the last 5 years, competing in bodybuilding / fitness modeling as a way of not being fat anymore.
Instead of just being healthy, we've gone to the other extreme, but that's fine. It's all or nothing, isn't it? So how did you get into it? What kind of got you from, you were there cutting hair and then one day you thought, you know what, I want to get in a pair of pants and get on stage?
Well, I've always struggled with my weight, and I think working in front of a mirror all day makes me very aware of my weight. And I think working in a fashion industry, there's a certain amount of pressure to how you look. And back in 2014, 2015, I just decided to give bodybuilding a go with the sense of following a diet that you can't cheat on. Because let's be honest, most of us have been on a diet of some description in our lives. And we've all gone, I'll just have, or it won't matter.
Yeah, start again Monday, 5-2, weekend.
Yeah, it's all right. It's only a glass of wine. It's only a biscuit. You know, it's only a night off. But I thought, well, there was a local bodybuilding show that's quite notorious where I live, run by like this local legend. And I decided that I would try and aim to diet to compete in that show as just a kind of a means to an end, really. Like after 16 weeks, there would be a point in which I had to look a certain way. If I didn't get on stage and I failed in it, at least I tried and I'd done more than just a diet, because ultimately I wanted to change my lifestyle.
So you did the competing as a means to change your lifestyle and your physique and your health rather than as a competition element?
Yeah, it was more of a, can I change the way I kind of live my day-to-day life rather than the end goal of getting on stage? Because I'd always associated diets with being on one and not being on one. And actually, through years of doing that, I always fail at being on a diet. So I need to change my outlook and my approach to things. And that's kind of where it started.
Wow. And did you think it was going to be as hard as you found it, or was it easier than you thought it was going to be?
Oh, the first one was brutal. I only really knew one bodybuilder at the time, and I just approached him and said, you've done it before. Could you maybe help me do this? And he just went, yeah, right. And he took some money off me and wrote me a plan which I followed, which was the exact same food at the exact same time every single day for about 19 weeks. And when you've been eating for pleasure all of this time, and someone says to you, you've got to have salmon for breakfast, you go, that's not fun. So the first one was brutal. The first one was as hard as you think it's going to be.
And have they got easier since then, or are they all just as challenging in a different way?
No, they got easier. They got much easier. I got better education. You know, I had someone else organise my food and my diet and my nutrition, and instantly became easier. A bit more variety.
Learning those mistakes, I suppose, and learning what to focus on and what to not focus on, I suppose, throughout the 19 weeks or however long it is.
Yeah, and I guess because I'd done one, the next one was easier because I wasn't going into the unknown.
That's true.
So I knew how to manage sort of the expectation of it. You know, I'd gone from not having a single clue, from going, right, I'm going to feel tired, I'm going to be hungry. It's okay to be hungry.
Yeah.
It's okay to be tired. You know, because people sometimes think that being hungry is a bad thing.
I've got a lot of questions to tell you going into this. It takes me back to when I did my first show. But before I ask them, I just wanted to, for people that are watching, we're talking about comp prep a lot on this podcast, and we've never really delved into what on earth it is. I mean, like how someone gets ready for a physique show, or how someone gets literally a silly level of condition to 6, 7, 8% body fat. So what on earth does this competition prep entail for you, so that someone can get an idea of just this amount of suffering you go through over these past few weeks into a show?
All right, so first of all, planning. Everything has to be planned to a T, and routine. Massive amounts of routine, dedicating certain amounts of time for certain things. So early starts, getting up, getting cardio done first thing in the morning, having your...
How are you getting out of bed, mate? Just have interest.
5:30, 6. Which is fine. It's not silly early, but it's early enough. And I'm not a great sleeper.
It's the everyday that I find.
It's the consistency. It's every day for 12 weeks, 10 weeks, 8 weeks, 6 weeks. And that's one of the things with comp prep, it's consistency. It's the sum of small things over a regular time that makes a big difference.
Yeah, I think that's, the more I've gone into this and the more I've worked with people and done it with myself, the more I've realised there is actually not a lot to it, but it's those little tiny things. And I was talking about this to someone today about, some of these top bodybuilders, what's made their difference between one coach and the next to get that extra level of conditioning, extra level of size. And we were discussing it, and we think it does just come down to someone being that little extra percent more consistent. Because there's no magic formula that's going to suddenly transform your physique that someone's got that someone else hasn't got.
No, absolutely not. But for me, like the course of those 16 weeks is, a lot of it is repetition. For me, planning, organisation is key. Getting food prepared for the following day, knowing what food you've got, what time you've got to eat it, and never being without it.
Yeah. Because
it takes the decision making out.
That's the thing, isn't it? You go into Tesco's without a plan of what you're buying. You could end up with anything in your basket.
Yeah. Well, I live, there's an Aldi's between my house and work. And the girls in Aldi know when I'm prepping for competition, because I buy the exact same thing every 2 days. And they're like, oh, you're doing another show then, Steve? I'm like, yeah. And it's just rice, eggs, green stuff, and taking kind of the choice out of it makes things easier.
Yeah.
Because we all make the wrong decision if we're allowed to.
Especially when you're hungry shopping, that's the worst.
Oh, massively. If I finish work 8 o'clock at night, been at work for 11 hours, back to back with clients, and I walk into Aldi's at 8:30, I don't want to buy a bag of asparagus, 12 eggs, and a bag of spinach. That's what you've got to do. Because if you don't do that, you won't look how you want to look 10, 12 weeks down the line.
Yeah,
and that is I've never wanted to get on stage thinking I could have looked better because I made a bad choice earlier.
Yeah, and you're one of the most insane people I know for that level of consistency and sticking to a plan. And I think you probably focus a little bit like me, where when you make one little slip up, that can escalate into like a whole weekend of just eating rubbish and going, you know what, I've made one little error and now I'm gonna I've messed the whole thing up. So it's better to not even give yourself the opportunity to mess up and just stick with the program.
Yeah, and for me, a large part of what I do is routine. Like, I need routine in my life.
What is your daily routine when you're coming into a show then? Because I know you're a busy man. So how are you fitting it in? Up early, 5:36?
5:36. I managed to get hold of an exercise bike at the back end of lockdown. So my comp prep kind of started in lockdown. Like, I made the decision to do this show maybe 24 weeks in advance. So I kind of became accountable during lockdown. So managed to get an exercise bike, got some cardio in the morning. So 6 a.m, half hour, 40 minutes, depending on how close to the show I am. Shower, meal one, which is always the same. Head off to work, ready for 9 o'clock, between 8 and 11 hours of back-to-back clients, which is, I'm used to being on my feet for that length of time, but it's mentally demanding because every hour I have a new challenge.
Yes.
So I might have a new haircut to do, a new colour, especially post-lockdown. I had a lot of home experiments to sort out and correct.
Yeah.
Plus the sheer volume, like after the last lockdown, when I went back to work, I did 8 days straight, sort of 85 hours or so, and when I say I did 85 hours, after those 85 hours, I may have had a half-hour break once a day, if I'm lucky, and I've still got to eat 3 meals at work.
Before I want to find out kind of how you're fitting these meals in, because I know most people, they say they've always got an excuse. So I'm working, I've got no time. So I think you're going to unlock the secret to that in a sec. But you've got to tell me, was there any really shocking home haircuts? Was there any disasters? You don't have to say names, but we can check.
No. So I had one client shave their head.
A female, was this?
Female client, yeah. She's a blonde, bad roots, short-ish hair anyway, and she decided to shave all off.
And then how did you fix that?
The mate looked amazing on her. Absolutely amazing. She's kept it short since.
Oh, okay.
We just bleached it blonde again. So she kind of looks kind of a bit Annie Lennox like.
Yeah. I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah, so it just really suits her, it just suits personality.
I was just some lady with long hair just coming in one day with just nothing and then kind of looking at you going, well, what do you mean you can't style it?
Oh, you'd be surprised when you get asked. Most of the home disasters were colour work.
Oh, okay. They weren't just like someone to put a bowl on and just gone.
No, I think my clients are far too scared of me and my reaction. So there's a few dodgy fringes, but it was a couple of box dyes, nothing major. Like my clients there, I'm very lucky because the level of my clientele, they're not going to try and do at home what they paid me a lot of money to do at home for £8 because they can't do it.
And also, it's not that embarrassing. Like my mum got her hair cut by my dad, and obviously he just did his best. And she goes to the barbers or whatever, and they say they were relatively impressed because it's like, well, what did you expect us to do? We were in lockdown.
Yeah.
It's not like when you go there normally out of lockdown and you go in and someone's like, what the hell have you done to your hair? You're like, bad barber did it? Like,
well, one thing I found is a lot of my clients, or a percentage of my clients, decided to end up growing their hair.
Yeah.
Because the short head clients are like, well, it's short. I wouldn't normally let it get long, but now it's long, let's go with it.
Yeah.
That's been really good fun, giving complete new looks for someone who's gone for something slightly longer.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. So at work, like I get zero time. If you've ever been...
How are you fitting it in? I mean, I obviously work in the personal training world, so it's a similar world, but it's not quite as full on as you guys are. You're turning people in and out of those chairs fast. So how are you fitting in food? What are you doing?
So you will never find someone that can eat faster than a hairdresser. And you'll never find someone who can eat faster than a bodybuilding hairdresser.
Are you drinking? I mean, obviously, I know because I wrote your nutrition plans for you, but there's a lot of flex in those plans because, you know, like I said, if you're on the go, you might have to drink your food rather than eat it. I mean, what
No, it's standing and speed, which is not ideal when you're in a calorie deficit, because when you're not eating a lot,
yeah,
you want to eat slower.
I actually think, because when I was working for Nuffield Health and I was doing 12-hour days without a break, just because of how it worked, when I was trying to put mass on, I was trying to eat sort of 4,000 or 5,000 calories. I couldn't even get like 2 meals in on shift because the meals were so big and I just didn't want to eat them. So when I'm done, I'm like, 1 minute it's gone and I'm like, was that it? Back to work.
Yeah.
So
I'm very lucky because we've got salon assistants. So if you've ever had your hair washed in a salon or a barber's,
they do the massage and all that first.
Yeah. So when you're having your hair washed or a colouring stuff, I guarantee you I'm eating.
Yeah, you pop out the back, don't you, where they come out with the teas and biscuits?
Yeah, pop out the back, smash in a meal, chug some water, have a pee, and then get ready for the next time.
So I suppose the trick for people is take your food with you and basically don't be a pansy in the fact of I hear so many trainers that are like, oh, I need to warm my food up. No, you don't need to warm it up. You want to warm it up.
I've not eaten a hot meal in the day for 5 years.
Yeah, it's changing that mindset. People laugh at me, and I've always have done for years at work. Anyone who's worked with me will tell you, I ate the other day rice and chicken with my hands cold. How do you do that? Well, it's quite easy. Use your hands and you put it in your mouth. I mean, it's not ideal, but what do I want to do? I end up heating food up and then I can't eat it because I have to go and do something.
Well, that's my thing. The time it takes to heat it up, let it cool down enough for me to eat it, and then eat it.
And it will stink.
Takes more time than I have.
And it stinks. So
yeah.
You haven't got to do what is it Brian Shaw or Derek Poundstone, whoever the world's strongest men were? They used to like blend
chicken,
steak and chicken, and drinking. We're not at that level.
I can't even stomach drinking egg whites.
So we've kind of got an idea of kind of what prep entails, but obviously nutrition wise, you're in a deficit and you're eating regularly just because that's probably your preferred thing to do, because I know it is mine.
Yeah.
Training wise, what's your training sort of volume looking like? I mean, how many days a week are you having to put yourself through a session? Because people may not really understand the level that, you know, it takes to get to that crazy level of conditioning.
So I train 5 to 6 days a week. Guaranteed 5. Sometimes if I'm feeling that I may not have given it enough the night before, I fit in a 6th session. So finish work at 5. I'm in the gym by 6. I train weights for about an hour and 20 minutes. And then I do another round of cardio, which will depend, how long that is will depend on how close I am to the show.
How close and how lean you are, obviously.
Yeah. So the leaner I am, probably I do a bit less. If I'm feeling that maybe I've taken my foot off the gas for a couple of days, I might up it a bit more. So I'm in the gym about 2 hours a night.
And what time are you leaving?
So I do about 8.
So it really is, I mean, that's tough. I mean, that's an early start, a long shift, a late finish.
And then I get home.
Most days of the week.
Yeah, most days. Well, there isn't a night of the week that I'm in my house before 8 o'clock.
So really, if people are thinking of competing, they need to just think about, is that something they can actually do? Because it's not something you can just sort of dabble in, is it, competing? It's, if you want to lose a little bit of weight to look good on the beach, it's very different to getting on stage.
It's having a full-time job and then having a part-time job that you do for free.
Yeah, because people seem to think that we do this. People think this is my living, competing. And it's like, I have a full-time job and other part-time jobs on the side, and then I compete as a hobby. The big difference is, my hobby, I can't just go, I can't be bothered to do it today, because it has to be done. Whereas, you know, someone who's playing a game of tennis, you can say, do you know what? I won't play tennis today. And I doubt their skill is going to get worse, but your physique will get worse if you don't put the work in. So
absolutely, because it might not matter then, but it will matter 5 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks down the line, because it will show on stage that you haven't put the work in.
Yeah, it's tough. One thing I want to ask you, you're training in the evening.
Yes.
What are you doing for like a pre-workout? Are you just eating food or are you having like caffeine? Because
So usually it's finish work. So my last meal, I try getting around 4 o'clock before I train. And then sometimes it's 5. Sometimes I have to eat it on the way home, out of Tupperware, walking to my house.
and then
And then,
any stimulants at all?
yeah. Well, depending on the volume of work that day, sometimes I just need a double espresso or a shot of pre-workout. But that usually goes in about 5-ish when I leave work.
So you're still sleeping, okay?
Yeah, well, I'm a notoriously bad sleeper anyway.
Yeah, it doesn't help, does it? I mean, I don't know about you, but when I'm prepping in a calorie deficit, I wake up so early.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's because I'm hungry or I just find it's when I'm training more as well. I wake up early. I think my body gets a little bit restless.
Yeah.
Or it's a routine thing. I'm not sure. It could be a mental thing.
I think for me, because I know my alarm's going to go off and I have to get up, my body always goes, oh, I'll just get up a little bit earlier then. You know, like during the last lockdown, I was up at 5 a.m. every day.
You do feel good for it, though.
It was amazing.
If I get up late, that's the days I feel the most depressed, when I get up late. I don't know,
Yeah.
Your productivity. Get up early and I get stuff done.
I prefer to get up in the morning and get stuff done. If I don't start my day moving forward, if my day's a slow start, I feel worse as the day goes on.
Yeah, I'm the exact.
Like the momentum of the day.
Yeah. Do you prefer training evening or morning if you had a choice, or daytime?
In an ideal world, I'll train at 4 o'clock.
Yeah, middle of the day.
Yeah, enough meals in.
Late afternoon, yeah.
Yeah, I like to train once I've had at least 3 meals. Just because I feel that I've got it in me to train. I do train in the mornings. Actually, quite a lot of the time during my last prep, I trained legs fasted on a Thursday morning before starting work at midday.
Yeah.
It just happened to be like that some days. And, you know, I was still, you know, towards the end of prep, I was using a leg press quite a lot. So I was still leg pressing 400 kilos plus fasted 6 weeks out. But I think it's mindset. But in an ideal world, I would like to train after 3 meals, depending on when those 3 meals are. The earlier you get up, the earlier those 3 meals go in.
Do you find there's a big difference in strength and energy when you do a fasted session versus an afternoon session, or do you think it is just a mental thing for you?
I think it's mental. Because again, for me, it's routine.
Yeah, because it's not technically fasted if you've had your last meal at 9 p.m. at night.
Yeah.
Training at like 6, 7 a.m. You know, yes, it is. You haven't eaten for a few hours, but you're not completely empty of, you know, muscle.
No, and I was having, for me, quite a lot of calories comparative to previous.
Yeah, your appetite's not massive, is it? And I don't know if your appetite's not massive, your ability to eat a lot of calories due to your lifestyle is not.
Yeah, like I struggle to eat. Like, I don't like feeling full. Yeah,
I get used to feeling full, and then when I'm eating too much, I'm like, I just wish I was hungry. So I think you've really touched on this. How on earth are you balancing this full-time job with training? I mean, and prepping, and I mean, how on earth are you doing? What is the secret?
It is purely a lifestyle choice. I have to say no to certain things.
Yeah, what's that like? Social life, is that the thing that goes well?
I would say up until 6 weeks out, I will say yes to most things. Mm-hmm. You know, I've been doing this long enough to know that I could eat out and be sensible. I had a birthday in lockdown. No, I didn't. I had a birthday just after lockdown during prep. Yeah. I was 4 weeks out, and I went to the Harvester. I had grilled chicken, I had some green vegetables, and I had a baked potato. I got to eat out with 3 of my best friends on my birthday, but we had to make the right decision.
Yeah, I don't find I miss out when I go out and eat healthy, but it depends who you're with. Are your friends supportive of what you do, and do they understand it? Because I can't think of anything worse than when I go places, people say, "Oh, you can't eat that," that's unhealthy. You can't do that. And I'm like, I can do what the fuck I want. Like I train.
Yeah.
I can go and eat
Yeah,
because I train. But are you at that point now where you can just go, I'm going to have chicken and baked potato, and everyone just goes, cool. Or do they go, why are you eating that?
No, I think because I've been doing it for 5 years now, and my friends know that it's a big part of my life. And I don't eat vastly different throughout the year. I would always make a sensible decision because I always like to have the enjoyment of calories versus the amount. There's nothing worse than, like, we get, I've got some lovely clients at work that will bring food and foodstuffs in. Goes, oh, I've bought this. And one of our clients works for a muffin making factory. And she'll bring muffins in.
You have 3 of them and you can't eat nothing else for the day.
Yeah, but one of the girls will go to me, just look at me and go, don't bother. Because they're not as enjoyable as they look. And they know that in my head, they're not worth the calories. So I don't bother.
Yeah, it's true. But I don't know if you'd agree. As soon as I understood more about calories and macros and competition prep, it has ruined my association with food massively. Because I can't look at a meal now without thinking how much protein, how much carbs, how much fat. Do you find you're that kind of same mindset where it's almost, too much now that it's ruined it's ruined how you view food?
I don't enjoy eating anything.
Yeah.
Like, I eat because I have to. And there are nicer things to eat than others. When you get down to the bare bones of it and you're eating cold white fish at, 9 p.m, it's fine, it just goes in. It would be nice to have a nice hot piece of salmon.
Did you used to enjoy it though, before you started competing? Because I never used to think about what I ate. I just thought, well, I want to get bigger, I'll eat more. I want to get smaller, I'll eat less. I never thought about what I was eating. And now I'm like, oh, there's no protein in that meal. And I'm like, it's put me off pizza for life. Because I'm like, where's the protein in my pizza?
Mine was a case of I was eating the wrong type of healthy food. So mine, I was... Pardon?
Peanut butter.
Peanut butter. Thinking sweet potato fries were healthier. Thinking halloumi was healthy. Thinking, avocados were great. They're all great in moderation, but I wasn't eating in moderation.
Yeah.
I was having like a burger patty with a slab of halloumi and like a massive sweet potato wedges going, that's all healthy. All of which are, but not when you cook your sweet potatoes in oil and you've grilled halloumi, and you've got like a chutney with your burger.
Yeah.
So I didn't understand food before I got into competition prep.
Yeah, it's definitely ruined it for me though, because I go to my partner's house and because she's Italian and we get all this home cooked food and it's really healthy. Everyone says it's really healthy, and when you're like, I don't want to start pulling it apart, saying yeah, but that's cooked in oil and it is all healthy food, but in moderation, like you said, and it's just horrible now that I have to look at it that way. But I suppose it's also a benefit and a luxury that we've got, that we can change our physiques and health like that because we know what we're eating.
Like I'm far more aware of what I eat, and the occasion will depend on whether I choose to or not.
So, do you like cheat meals? Are you someone who loves a McDonald's or a pizza, or doesn't really interest you?
This prep was different for me because it had no scheduled cheat meals in. So in previous preps, for the previous 4 years, I've been carrot and stick. So low calories all week, cheat meal at the weekend. So I felt knackered all week, but at the weekend I got a burger and some fries or a mixed grill or something like that, which is great. It gave something to look forward to. So when it got to Thursday, and you're like, you go, well, I've only got tomorrow and then the day after that's a cheat meal. Because this time round, I had higher calories and more variety through the week. And then there were refeeds through the prep, depending on how quickly I was losing weight. But because the food was more varied, I didn't feel that I needed the cheat meal quite as much as I had done previously.
Yeah.
Like there was more balance through the week.
Might be my fault because as soon as I get given a cheat meal, it doesn't end at the meal. So for me personally, I know the same with a lot of clients. If I give someone, I'm going to have a cheat meal, it's just that association of that kind of, you starve yourself so you can binge more. And then the day after you think, oh, I've eaten so much, I'm going to starve myself again. And suddenly the whole prep has just gone out of whack. So it's definitely a lot easier to do that, like you said, that consistency all week.
Yeah.
Just spike it. Even just, I give a lot of clients now 700 calorie refeeds. The reason for that is it's 100 calories a day. So 700 calories extra in one meal, that's 100 calories a day extra.
Yeah.
It's minimal, really. Someone's still going to be in a deficit. But as soon as you go eat anything you want, oh my God, what a mindfuck that.
The thing is, though, even with that, I still make conscious choices.
Yeah, you're one of the few, probably.
Like, I wouldn't eat a pizza, you know. I wouldn't go to the KFC. I can't stand McDonald's. But for me, a good burger. But then because I don't like eating a lot of food, I couldn't eat burger and fries.
Yeah.
The burger for me is enough. That's it, job done.
Yeah. No, burgers are good. Burgers are definitely good. So what was your hardest part of a prep in general? What is the hardest thing for you?
The hardest bit for me is probably the last 4 weeks, where my mental focus at work takes up a lot of my energy. Because every hour, I get a new challenge, and the client I have at 9 o'clock in the morning gets the same quality of me as my client at 8 p.m. in the evening. So I'm not sat in an office where I can just kind of type away, get my head down, feel a bit knackered. Everybody wants a piece of me every hour. Mm-hmm. So over the years, the physical demands on my body have got easier. And if anything, I would probably say physically, this was the easiest prep I've done. I hadn't had to push myself massively hard. It's just consistency. I was consistent all the way through. But for me, it's the last 4 weeks, the mental focus, where you're trying to hold conversations and actually your mind's just going, nah. But actually in my head, I've got to do a colour correction or work out the angles for his haircut or throw a suggestion to a client, you know, of a 4 or 5 haircut plan. And actually in my head, I'm going, I'm hungry, I'm tired.
Oh, don't.
I eat next.
My last prep, I remember I was showing someone around the gym and I just remember looking at them thinking, I have absolutely no idea who they are, what their name is or what they're here for. And you know, when you're staring at them, oh no, like this, literally I've got complete just nothing.
Yeah.
So
that is the hardest bit. That's the hardest bit. Physically, I've got enough experience now that I can manage the fatigue and manage the output, but it's the mental focus that
you're taking yourself to a silly level when you do a prep. So talk to me. You're now the world champion, mate.
I am. So this is my 3rd purely competition. I managed to go from a 5th place amateur to pro world champion in 3 competitions. So just on the purely worlds, I won my category in the tattooed model category, which was just unbelievable. It was such an amazing experience, because when I started in the fitness model industry, that was where I wanted to be. Tattooed model, top 3, top 5, over the moon. You know, that's where I wanted to be. And to achieve that in such a small period of time was just incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Yeah, it's a very short time, and you put a lot on the line for it. And if we could, I wish we could share. I hope we can share that video of when you got your announced as first place.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
That was literally, I couldn't believe it. And you know, when they called the top 3, and I was still there, and then they called the 3rd place winner out, and it was just me and Paul just stood there side by side. And
what went through your
message?
What went through your head at that stage? What was going through your head when they got to the last 2?
I couldn't believe it, and B, I was happy either way. Absolutely, but I was like, fuck, this could go my way. This could go my way. This could be it. And I've messaged Paul since and said to him that this kind of prep, he was my carrot and stick. You know, there was a guy in my lineup two guys in my lineup who I knew I'd be competing against that are bigger than me. And I was like, oh, that's where I want to be. I want to be in that lineup. I want to be in the mix. And just to make the top three was incredible. And then when they announced Paul as second, he gave me this massive hug. Was like, congratulations, mate, you deserve this. And then I just dropped to my knees and I was in bits, absolutely in bits. And the grin, like my cheeks hurt for days for smiling afterwards.
How did it rank in your, all personal achievements of your whole life? Like where are we talking? How was that moment?
For personal achievements, it's probably up there with winning Hampshire Colourist of the Year as sort of personal achievements. I'm not very good at failing, which is why I don't give up on no matter what I wasn't going to do it, and I was going to do it. But yeah, it's up there. It's probably in my top. Well, it's in my top 5 things. Is it? I think because the hairdressing thing was a career thing, and this was a personal thing, it probably tops it. But I just couldn't believe it. I literally couldn't believe it. And even now, I sit here and I kind of I kind of think back to it and go, did I do that?
Yeah.
And I'm very, very fortunate because I've won categories in my last 2 shows. So I went into this as my pro debut after winning my purely UK championships the previous year. So I'd set myself big shoes to fill, because I'd had success in the past. And for me, a top 3 finish was just amazing. It's kind of best of the best.
Yeah, my favourite thing about your whole journey is the fact that you're one of the few people I see that when you've won or had some success in the bodybuilding fitness world, it's for you. Like you don't care what other people think. You're not posting it to change your name on Instagram to pro world champion. I've done this, I've done that. It very much did seem like it was a victory for you and a personal achievement. And it wasn't something where you could now start bragging and trying to get more likes, which I thought was amazing because it was that celebration was definitely like, oh my God, I've put the hard work in, I've won. I don't care about what anyone else thinks or, you know what I mean? Very.
Yeah, I don't do it for anyone. I do it for me.
Which is quite rare in this industry. A lot of people do it for those likes or those, the followers.
Yeah, but I'm a hairdresser. I'm not, a model. I'm not a personal trainer. I'm not aspiring to change the world via Instagram. This is a hobby for me. I'm a hairdresser. That's what I do. Because clients might say to me, "Oh, do you think about taking this further, doing something different with it?" I'm like, "No."
Yeah. So
the second I. Sorry.
What's next, mate? What's next for you? Is it more fitness or more hair?
Yeah. No. So I was umming and ahhing about what to do. I've still got more in the tank. I'm 38 now.
38,
38, getting old. So next year, back on stage. So plan in place for the beginning half of the year, and the back half of the year we'll be competing again. I've got some work things I'm going to begin in half of the year. So there's a work course that I'll be hopefully doing should the world come a bit more level-headed. There's a course that I was meant to go on this year that had been postponed, so I want to do that. So a nice balance next year of some work goals and some personal goals. But I want to defend my title.
Hey, there we go.
See?
You can call people out now. Call other winners out, which is always nice.
Yeah, well, I'm now the guy to beat.
That's exactly it. Love that. So it'll be next, in theory, it'll be like next, October or November or something like that?
Yeah, end of next year. And I managed to gain 2.5 kilos of muscle over from my last stage weight to this stage weight.
About a year, but that's with a reverse diet, a bulk, and then a diet as well.
Yeah, and obviously lockdown. So, we had 4 months of limited weight training. I was very fortunate that I've got access to equipment here at home. So that wasn't too bad. So I had consistency as well. But hopefully over the next sort of 6 months, gain some weight, get some size, and then ease back into defending my title next year. Nice. And then maybe do a couple of shows next year.
Yeah.
Try and group a couple together, so as not to waste that hard work.
Yeah, it'll be a big year for the competing world, because if this all blows over, there's a lot of shows that have got a lot at stake. So there'll be a lot of competitors as well, which will be good.
Well, that's one of the reasons why I was so hell-bent on making it to stage this year, because I know that the beginning half of next year will be swamped.
Yeah.
People would have come out of lockdown, gone, right, I'm back into a gym, I'm going to bulk for the rest of the year and prep for the new year.
Yeah.
I was in such a good position through lockdown because I'd stayed consistent, new nutrition, new guidance, and I was like, I'm not going to waste this advantage, which is why I did this competition rather than wait until the new year, where it would be, 300, 400 competitors at a show, probably at a better advantage of me having spent the back end of the year gaining muscle size.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. Definitely.
So that's next year.
Nice. Sounds like a good year. My tip for people based on your prep and the year you've had is get ready early for shows. Too many people seem to crash in last minute. And they're just not ready on time, or it's just far too stressful. So I think the trick that you had, you were already so far out. You were already too far out, but we can take a bit of guidance and some advice from that, is the fact that you found it easy. So it's get ready early for shows, because you can cruise in.
Yeah, and I think because of the way this year has been in regards to being sociable, I really didn't have to say no to anything.
Yeah, it's a shame, isn't it? But yeah, that's how it is. Should we get into some questions? I know you've had quite a few.
Hit me.
Do you want me to read them off the ones you sent me, yeah?
Yeah.
The first one's not a question. You've just got veins. Veins, bro. Yeah, you have got the veiniest quads in the game.
Yeah. I don't hold a lot of weight in my legs.
Well, there's some meaty.
Yeah, I'm quite lucky. There's some.
Tell you what, we can take a spin off of this then. So, relating to that, how are your quads so big? What's the secret? Is that a genetic thing, or did you used to smash the hell out of them?
No. Like I've got a lower back made out of poppadoms, so like heavy squats have never been my thing. I do like training legs. It's one of my favourite things to do. But as a youngster, I used to rollerblade. So I think a lot of that was, all the momentum and the power, jumping, spinning, grinding, all comes from the explosive power in my legs. So the only thing I can think of is it would have been that, because annoyingly, my brother and my father have the best calves in the world, but skinny thighs, and I have tiny calves, massive quads.
That's better.
Yeah, well, it looks better. It looks better from the front.
I do wonder sometimes where, people say kids shouldn't be training and lifting weights that early, but most kids are jumping and running around. I wonder, you see these 15 and 16-year-old kids that are sometimes jacked. I wonder if a kid at like 6, 7 to start doing a lot of body weight exercise, whether it's rollerblading or squats or chin-ups, whether they would literally be an absolute tank by the time they're 20, but like an aesthetic tank.
But you look at swimmers.
Their shoulders.
Kids will have got massive wide shoulders. And then that gives you an amazing framework when you hit your teens, when you start going, bicep curls.
I don't think my life of drinking Coke and eating crisps when I was a kid was probably the best start, but never mind. It is what it is.
Yeah.
So, next question. Who's this from? Gem Oliver. Do you think everyone has the potential to, or does it take a certain mindset?
I think with regards to winning, you can't control who's going to win or lose. You just have to look your best, because it would depend on who you're stood next to. Because everybody has a show-winning physique. That's how I look at it. I have to turn up my best, and if the guy next to me is better, then he deserves to win. But I do think everybody, as long as they follow the plan set out ahead of you, yeah, everyone could have a show-winning physique, but it depends on who's turned up to that show.
Yeah, I would say yes and yes. Do you think everyone's got the potential? Yes, everyone has the potential. Does it take a certain mindset? Yes, it does.
Yes. I don't know how to give up.
It takes both. I mean, depends on the judges. I've judged loads of shows. Depends on the federation. You know, you're too muscular for certain categories. You're not big enough for other categories. So everyone will find a category that will suit them, I suppose. So anyone watching this that's thinking,
and it could come down to hair colour. It could come down to blue eyes and brown eyes. You know.
Yeah.
Do I like the colour of his trunks? It can be that little.
And as silly as it sounds, in the last couple of years, there's been a lot more inclusivity. I can't even think of the word, where we're including people who are, you know, who maybe are missing a leg or maybe have gone through some sort of trauma or whatever it may be. So there's a lot of now disability classes in different federations. So you can't even use that now as an excuse to not.
No, I've seen some people backstage at competitions that, relative to the rest of the room, look different.
Yep.
But relative to where they started, look fucking amazing.
Oh yeah, and you got the transformation categories as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're my favourite ones because they are people that are going to literally add years on their life.
Yeah.
How do you find the dieting foods that your coach sets you? Strict on plan or a macro plan? Oh, well, I know the answer to that. I don't know. What do you prefer personally? Do you prefer a plan where someone goes, have this amount of carbs, protein, fats for the day? Or do you prefer someone to go, here's the food, eat it?
Black and white. I like an option for protein and carbs. But in an ideal world, if you said to me, you've got to eat 100 grams of this, 50 grams of that, 200 grams of that, perfect. It takes the thinking out of it, which means the preparation is easier, which means the ability to make the wrong choices is less, which means long-term you're going to make better successes.
Yeah, I like
everything
that.
I eat, everything I'm set is written down, it's on the cupboard doors in my house, and I've just got quantities.
Yeah, I the first thing I do when I get a plan from a coach is work out the total macros, because they often don't give them to me, which I find really frustrating. Because what I want to do is I want to know that if I've got 200 grams of cooked rice, I want to know what I can have instead of it. Because if I'm on the go or if I don't want rice for some reason, then I've got those I can chop and change to give me that flexibility. And also, I want to eat the foods I like. I know it sounds weird, but I don't want to have to eat a certain food at a certain time if it's just an absolute ball ache to prep.
Yeah, well, like on my days off, I could eat pro oats all day long for the ease, and actually, it's always my favourite meal of the day.
I love oats. What can I say? Wow, there's a lot of questions from Abby Mac 100. How do you stay so focused, and what drives you to achieve?
How do I stay so focused? Not knowing how to fail, and not wanting to look like I've given up. If I set my mind to do something, whether it's personally, professionally, I want to achieve it. So one of the things I tend to do is I've got a lot of clients and I talk to them about it, because I heard once that if you make a resolution in the new year, if you say it out loud and tell people, you're 80% more likely to achieve it.
I love that. That's how social media works. The number of times I say things on social media and I don't actually stick to them. But as soon as I put it out, people come up to me in the gym and go, "Oh, what's this here about you not having this?" And you're like, "Oh no."
Yeah.
Now
It was like when you gave up reigns.
I think I lasted a week. Yeah.
Yeah, and I texted you and you were like, "Oh, I've just replaced it with coffee and now I'm back on it."
Yeah. So I felt like I failed.
But like for me, I tell people about it, and then that way I'd feel bad if they come back to me later on and said, "Oh, you haven't done that."
He said.
So that's my focus, my motivation is that, like, doing the shows is just purely for me.
Yeah.
It's not for any advantageous reason.
Yeah, you don't really win anything out of the show. It's not like what you do win isn't going to offset the amount you spent and the amount of effort. But there's something about it. When I did a shoot a month ago, I was missing that competition element. I enjoyed doing the shoot, but I was like, it don't feel right. There's something missing. And I think it could be the fact that there's loads of you all competing together and you get that competition element. And it's that thought of, like you said, ticking all the boxes, knowing that your competitor is also doing that. And if you win or lose, it doesn't really matter, but you know that you've brought the best to the stage.
Yeah. And I don't mind winning or losing. You know, when I did the purely Worlds, see, my brother, highly competitive.
Yeah.
The only person I'm competitive with is me. So my aim for every competition is to look better than the last one, which over the 5 years, I've consistently done. So regardless of the outcome, for me, I wanted to look better than last time. And, you know, you and I have had these conversations about, you know...
It's incredible, that mindset. I wish I had that mindset. I just hate losing. It's bad.
No, I don't mind losing, but I don't mind losing as long as I look the best I've looked. If I rocked up and I look amazing and the guy next to me looks shabby and I lose, I'll be pissed off. If I turn up looking amazing and the guy next to me is better, then he deserves to win. But as long as I look better than last time.
That makes sense. That does make sense. We've answered the next one. Working and prepping, how do you deal with it? I think we've exhausted that one. Dan Underwood 91. How can I keep motivated through lockdown number 2? It's actually a good question. Okay,
so what I like to do is keep up the routines. So I still get up, I still do my cardio. I still eat meal 1 at a similar time, I still eat 2. Now, not everyone's that strict. So all I would say to you is plan a time in your day that you're going to set aside to do something. So whether that's something is exercise or that something is spending time in the garden, plan it in. Because for me, if I know that I've got that to look forward to, that's my motivation. So I like to have things set in place. And I always think if you have that goal every day, you should achieve it.
I love this because you haven't even seen the podcast yet, but the podcast that goes live just before this one was with Mike Kelly, and he people watching this probably may have already watched that one. If you haven't, check it out after this. But he does 10 ways to basically deal with mental health, mental stress during lockdown, and that was one of his first. I think that was point number 1 was routine, and it doesn't matter how stupid that routine is, whether it's like today, I've got a diary, I just used my notes on my phone and it was like what time we were recording this podcast. Then I'm like, right, if I want to go for a walk, I need to put that in afterwards. And then it doesn't matter how stupid it sounds. I'm like, well, I need a shower, let me put that at that time. Suddenly I've got a day planned and I think get it all done. And I'm like, oh, day done, right, next day. What the hell have I actually achieved? Not a lot, but mentally I feel, wow, I'm doing the bits, I'm getting things done.
Yeah, for me, like my day starts, cardio, feed the cat, breakfast. I clean a different room in the house. You know, meal 2, go for a walk. Then I might read a bit. Then it's time to train. Then it's evening meals, shower.
Yeah. You haven't got to be you can just, could be for anything in life, I suppose. Just general health.
Or just have something in mind to do each day. You know, in the last lockdown, I decorated my house.
Yeah, you just choose part of it.
But I only painted 1 wall a day.
Yeah, that's another thing that Mike spoke about, setting yourself small achievable goals so that you can go, right, I've done that wall. If I do 2 walls, I've overachieved. Love it. Next question. You're going to love this one. What did you pack your trunks out with to fill them out?
Yeah. Well, I know who said that one. So there's actually quite a funny story with that one. So a lot of stations come with like a
cup, like a
chicken fillet, like a soft cup. So the night before the show, or the night before I'm travelling up to the show, I'm packing my bag. Where's it gone? It's gone missing. And the last thing you want to do is see tip on stage because you know they're tight and they're short. The pissing cat has gone into my suitcase. He's got the cup. He's managed to bring it downstairs and hid it in his bed.
Nice.
Yeah. So my padding for my trunks, so unfortunately it is mainly padding, has teeth marks in from the cat.
That'll be fine.
Yeah, no one will see it. No one has seen it.
Did you actually use it? Did you use that padding?
Yeah, I have to, mate. Yeah, I've got opinions like an acorn.
Yeah, mate. It's something about dehydration as well.
Yeah, it doesn't help, does it?
No one understands this. When I explain to people that don't compete, when you dehydrate for a show, if you choose to dehydrate, which I tend to, because I don't know, I think I look better, and I think you agree you look better when you're slightly dehydrated.
Yeah.
I can't control my bladder, and everything vanishes.
Yep.
Like literally, I cannot control anything. I'll go to the toilet and then I think, oh, I'm finished. And I'm like, oh no, I'm not.
No, I'm like, a couple of days when I have to show, I am a dab and do up man, just in case.
Yes, mate, it is embarrassing. It is. I have to explain it to people, and that's where I think it's nice that people around you that understand what you're going through, whether it is I want to jacket or I'll just wet myself. They can go, oh yeah, again. Versus questioning it, man. Why? What? I don't get it. That's not healthy.
Yeah. A sit-down wee always helps, just to make sure.
Yeah, but if you get the tan on though, then it's all right if you're wearing board shorts, but then you're gonna have a ring mark on your bum.
Oh God.
Oh dear, that's another story. That one, isn't it? About the amount of hotel rooms you probably ruined bathrooms of with tan.
Oh mate, I've ruined some bog seats and some towels in my time.
You look at them and you think, oh no, I'm gonna have to just hide that towel. Looks like someone's.
And they always give you white bedding.
I normally take my own brown sheets, but yeah, I think these days the towels are better than they used to be. Back in the day, they used to like spray you with so many layers. It was awful.
Yeah.
Now
I take a pillowcase and I always sleep in long sleeves and long bottoms, just to make sure.
I don't care what anyone says. In my opinion, I'll ask you the same question. This is my question to you. What is your worst part of like competition prep or the actual competition day? And for me, it's that getting that tan done and try and get into bed like covered in tan, and I hate it. The whole tanning process, can't stand it.
No, and the fact you smell like digestive biscuits for about 4 days.
Well, you got a hair removed, then you get sprayed when you're half naked. Then you got to walk around like in the rain. Normally, it's always raining in it, in like flip flops.
Yeah. And the tanning experience itself, when if you ever had a spray tan, it's generally you and the tanner. If you spray, you do a competition. You're in a ring full of blokes with a sock over your cock, having a chat like the most normal thing in the world. You've got a bird you've never met, generally female tanners. I've never had a male tanner yet. Having a conversation with you, not blinking an eyelid at the fact that you're butt naked bar a sock, and having the most normal conversations in the world.
Do you know what's even weirder than that? When I started competing 6 years ago, they never used to offer socks. So when I first started, people just tanned with nothing on, nothing, like just completely naked. You stand there with it all out. Like now I look back and I think, why? But because everyone else is doing it, you think that's what you're meant to do.
I always go comedy sock. Go comedy sock. I saw one guy rock up with a football sock once, like full-length football sock.
Mate, bad idea. That was falling off.
Brilliant.
Mate, you want to borrow like a 2-year-old's. No, actually, that sounds wrong. Borrow some.
No. So last year for the UK Championships, I went out and I bought grey socks with white frills, and rocked up with a frilly sock on. And bizarrely, the girl that tanned me, I'd met in 2017, and she was like, "Only you could rock up with a frilly sock on your cock to get tanned." I was like, "Yeah, why not?"
Yeah, they must hate that job. Well, they love it, but also it must be really quite embarrassing for them to have to see guy after guy after guy coming with just stupid jokes. But it's good fun. Final question I've got in here, mate. It's a bit of a meaty one, so we'll have to give it a very quick summary. David, I'm not even going to try and butcher his name. David, he's put an overview on calorie intake building up to comp day, what they decrease to, etc. I mean, I suppose you could give us a summary maybe of what you've been down to previously, or the kind of calorie.
Okay, so this probably earlier on we spoke about how I was ready quite early on. So I know what my body likes. About 2,000 calories a day for me on a training day is when my body wants to be. We were coming into clean, so we put the calories up. So my training day calories went up to about 2,300, back down to 2,000. And that was about 6 weeks out. And then at 4 weeks out, it dropped to about 1,800. And then
keep the rest secret.
And then the rest just trickled away day by day, week by week, up until the show. So
no less than probably what, 16, 17? I can't think.
Yeah, so on a training day, 17. On a non-training day, 1 meal less.
Yeah.
So
not
drastic. It depends, I compete at under 75. So my calorie intake is probably a lot less than someone who's 95.
Yeah, I went down to, I got taken down. I've had a couple of prep coaches that didn't give me macros, which I know why, because it's dangerous when you look at what they gave you. I had one guy, fats were sort of 10 grams a day, carbs were 0 for about 14 days. It worked out about 1,100 calories for about 14 days.
Well, I've been down to 1,100. I've been down to 1,100 on previous preps.
It is hideous, and my take on it is, you give me less calories, I move less. Therefore, I burn less. Give me more calories, I move more. So, are we better off having more calories and moving more? Versus, that's just pathetic, 1,100 calories.
Yeah, but, I got the results that I wanted.
Yeah. It's so many different ways, aren't there? So many different ways.
No, I definitely felt I looked healthier in this prep. I didn't get that real drawn face until right near the end.
Well, this is where you get those questions. I get them all the time. What shall I carb up with? How shall I do it? Shall I dehydrate? I don't know. As rude as I sound by saying someone I don't know, I mean, I have no idea how someone responds or how many calories they need and what method they're using, because one mess up in that last few weeks could change the whole look.
Yeah, massively.
But it is good for people to know that people do go down to that kind of 1,100-1,200 mark. And so
yeah. And it's fine. It just depends on your output. For me, as I said earlier, it's always worked out that my lowest calorie day would always be an 11-hour working day. Always. Because I have a non-training day, so your calories are lower. But for me, my non-training day is a day that I start work at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and I finish work at 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
So that for me, it's always a tough day for me, especially closer to the show, because there's not much in the tank. I'm on my feet a lot.
Yeah, makes sense.
But everyone's different. You can get down to silly low calories. I know some people that will brag that they're on 2,500 calories for a show. Crack on, mate. Well done for you. But nobody can't cope with that many calories.
Yeah, and you got to think what other things are they technically running as well in the background, and how are they cycling their calories? There's so many different factors, aren't there, that come in, and some of them don't even get lean. The last question I've got, which is a question from myself to you, now talking about how tough it is with food and when the calories go low. Have you got any life-saving foods or things you've opted for that save you? Because, for me, when I get really low on calories, things like pickles and sugar-free sauces are like my savior. What thing are you reaching for that people could maybe go out and buy themselves when they're trying to do this, January shape up or whatever?
Yeah, so 2 things that saved me during the arse end of most preps. Gherkins, mushrooms, and that 0-calorie pasta rice.
Oh, yeah.
Stuff.
That stuff's weird.
It's got nothing in it, doesn't taste of anything, but if you've only got a small amount of rice, it helps fill that out. A small amount of oats, it fills it out. Doesn't have anything in it. It's just nothing, 9 calories.
I think one company that you can buy in the shops is Bare Naked. Top of my head. So
Bare Naked has more calories. The ones you get in Holland and Barrett, it's 9 calories per 100 grams.
Yeah, I bought them the other day in a cardboard.
Orange and pink packet.
Orange and purple.
Yeah. Yeah, so they're my thing. So gherkins, jarred gherkins, mushrooms, a nice big chunky mushroom. It's quite substantial and it feels quite meaty. And if you put it in a blender and chuck it in with some turkey mince, it just kind of increases food volume, which when you're hungry, optically really helps.
Yeah.
Because even though you're getting the right nutrients, often when you look at a plate of food and there's not a lot of it, as much as it's nutritionally dense of what you need, when you're hungry, sometimes a lot of food looks better. So raw spinach, raw spinach on the bottom of a plate, and a small amount of protein and a small amount of carbs looks like a lot of food.
That does feel
good. Mushrooms, that 0-calorie rice, and gherkins.
Nice.
There's nothing in them.
Like that. People can take that away. So let's wrap the show up then, mate. So have you got anything that's really pissing you off that you want to throw in the Gym Tonic bin?
Things that piss me off.
Worst one, mate. What do I even piss you off?
Worst thing that pisses me off?
Things you don't like.
Lateness.
What?
Lateness. No, I'll tell you, I'll take that back. Lukewarm food and drink.
Oh, what's the worst?
Give me hot food or cold food. Don't give me tepid food.
Like coffee's the worst for that.
Well, anything. If it's hot, hot. If it's cold, cold. Don't give me meh in the middle. Can't stand it. It's the worst thing in the world. There's nothing worse. There's nothing worse.
Yeah.
Hot food, cold food. The bit in the middle, I don't want it. I won't eat it.
Thinking about teas and coffees. Give me an iced tea or an iced coffee. Brilliant. Give me a hot coffee or hot tea. Brilliant. But that when they go cold, I can't drink them. Like,
no. And it doesn't taste of anything. Like when something's cold, it tastes like it's meant to taste. When it's hot, it's quite yummy. But when it's just in the middle, like if someone's microwaved something and it's baking hot around the edge, and then kind of meh
it's like
in the middle,
and it's hot around the edge.
Yeah, terrible. So that's going in the bin. Lukewarm food and drink. Give me hot food. Give me cold food. Don't give me that shit bit in the middle.
I like that. I like that one. That's actually better than anything I thought of. I was just going to put in nice and simple. I don't hate it. It doesn't annoy me, but it does annoy me actually because it just fills up the shops and I don't need them in there. Every sugary drink in the shops. So I'm obsessed with. I just love sweetened drinks. Sugar-free options. I know there's a crowd of people that are going to say how bad they are for me. I don't care. That's what I like. So every time I go into a shop, you got like Pepsi, Coke, Dr. Pepper. Just get rid of all them and just fill them with the diet options. I don't want to drink my sugar, thank you very much. I want to go and eat it. So I just want to just get rid of all them. No time for them.
Fair enough. I found a Rubicon 12 calories sparkling water drink during this prep. Black cherry and something that was epic.
Yeah, mate, that's one of my go-tos is fizzy water.
Yeah.
The flavoured waters recently, you get the big sugar-free ones.
Yeah.
Again, don't give me the water. I go to pick up a water and a flavoured one and I forget how much sugar they put in. It's mad. And it's water. But
yeah, well, I can't have sugar-free sweets because they give me horrendous stomach cramps.
Yeah, so is me and chewing gum and garlic. Too much chewing gum.
Chewing gum's the same. I had a prep one year when I was just smashing back packets of Wrigley's Airwaves for texture and taste, and my stomach was in knots, like bloated and hard. So yeah, I don't do the sugar-free sweets.
Yeah, it does hurt the stomach. So quick fire 5 to wrap it up, mate. Favourite alcoholic drink?
Rum or red wine?
Ooh.
I have the bar.
Which choose one of the two. Let's go for one of the two.
Rum.
Which rum?
I would say probably this Bacardi Reserve limited edition rum, which is amazing.
What do you drink your rum with? Are you on the rocks or are you like a tropical juice or a Coke?
No. So, coconut water, Diet Coke, or ginger beer.
Okay. Nice.
I have a rum club. And they're the things you drink rum with.
Okay.
Drink it neat, Cuba Libre, Coconut water or with ginger beer.
Okay, writing them down. Favourite food?
Don't really have one, but possibly a good burger. But I don't really enjoy eating, so it doesn't really bother me.
Solid. Favourite body part to train? Or exercise?
So my favourite exercise would be a seated barbell shoulder press. My favourite body part to train would be quads, because
you're good at them.
I just like the way they look. I just like the way they look when they're done.
Yeah, I hear that. And dream job?
I've got it.
You sound like John that came on the other day.
Yeah, I love my job.
That's good, mate. You're one of the rare people. So that's awesome. And finally, favourite music to train to? And we need 2 songs for the playlist that is actually up on Spotify if you bang in Gym Tonic.
Okay, so I'm like a late 90s, early 2000s hip hop, rap, metal, stuff like that. So I would say my 2 songs for the playlist: AC/DC Back in Black.
Yep.
When I first started bodybuilding, that was my show song.
Yep, got you.
And then Linkin Park and Jay's. Pardon?
Everyone had one of them when they first started.
Yep. And then Linkin Park, Jay-Z, Numb, Hardcore.
Yeah, I love that. I've absolutely loved that tune.
There's always probably one of the first 3 songs I listen to when I'm in the gym. And just that whole album. But that particular one.
Yeah, it was 6 songs, isn't it, on that album?
Yeah. And they're all amazing.
Yeah. Oh, mate, unbelievable. So let's wrap it up then, mate. Have you got a top takeaway, top tip for people to live their best healthy life, especially now? This is going to be needed.
Yeah. Balance and moderation. Balance and moderation. Do anything you want to do, but just be accountable for how much of it you want to do. If you want to train loads, train loads. If you want to drink loads, drink loads. But neither one is particularly healthy. So, balance. And I found that during my last lockdown, I had the best balance I've ever had.
That word, some people hate, but I do think I think that's very important. So where can people find you if they want to send you messages of good luck or questions, that sort of thing?
Okay, so my Instagram is Steve Christie Official. And you can find me, Steve Christie, on Facebook, but that is my lot. And my Instagram will be pictures of me, the cat, or bright coloured hair. So nothing too exciting.
Where is the cat? Where is the cat?
There. He's finally settled down.
We need the cat. We need the cat to wrap up the show. We had Lenny the other day, Mike's dog. We need Atlas to wrap it up.
This is Atlas. Say hello, everyone. With his beautiful eyes. So I got him just at the end of lockdown. And he's been great company. But he has the grumpiest face in the world. It doesn't matter what you give him. You could give him a bowl of tuna and his face just tells you to fuck off.
You know what they say about owners, mate, don't you? So.
Yeah, excellent, brilliant. We do look alike, bold and wrinkly. We do look alike. It has been noted before.
How old's Atlas though?
He is 26 weeks.
Okay.
He usually sits on my shoulder when I'm doing cardio in the mornings.
Yeah, I saw that. That's just...
Yeah, like a parrot.
That is crazy. Well, thank you very much for coming on.
Cheers, pal.
Really, really appreciate it. I will let you say bye and log off for the show for everyone. I'll let you close it out however you want.
So this has been the 12th episode of the Gym Tonic Podcast with Tim Chase and Steve Christie, and Tim will see you for the next one.